Becoming a licensed pro hero in the world of Boku no My Hero Academia offers many benefits for the license holder, such as being able to use your quirk in a professional manner, though it also comes with taking on a lot of responsibility. It's basically becoming both a celebrity and a legal body at the same time, and for some, they don't really care for that life of fame and just want to ensure the streets are safer at night. It's these people that take on a more traditional label of law enforcement, and one of the best police officers on the force is the undercover crabby comedian Monika Kaniyashiki, also known as Kaniko. Monika Kaniyashiki is a minor character who plays a role in a few arcs during the events of Vigilantes, working as an undercover cop for the Osaka Police Department, a job that she finds herself extremely good at, due to her energetic nature allowing her to easily socialize with people, especially those that she just met, on top of her comedic personality, which causes people not to take her too seriously, which benefits her line of work quite a bit. Though she isn't a pro hero and has to work within the confines of the law, so she can't just use her quirk to solve problems. But before we get too into that, let's discuss the meaning behind her name and design. So the name Monika Kaniyashiki is a rather simple one, especially given that her given name, Monika, is written in simplified katakana, meaning it doesn't really have a direct translation meaning, but it can be connected to Monika the name's origin, as the name Monika means advisor or counselor, which can connect with her family name, Kaniyashiki, which when broken down means crab shop or crab home. So altogether, she is the counselor of the crab shop or home, which makes sense given that when we first meet her, she is playing the role of a crab shop's mascot or idol, but we learn from the owner himself that she was basically everything from an advisor to a saleswoman when on the clock. And even though those are both her names, she prefers that people call her Kaniko, which is a nickname that shortens the first half of her family name to Kani, which means crab, and then adds the ko honorific to it, which means small, creating a cuter sounding nickname than her normal family name. But along with this, the name Kaniko is a play on the Japanese snack food Kaniko, which means small crab, which is usually a snack that is served with kani miso, which is Monika's favorite food. Along with this, her overall design aesthetic was also influenced by this crab theme, with her hair being shaped like a crab, with her having 2 buns on the top of her head with claw-like shapes protruding out the ends of them, and then 6 crab leg-shaped tufts along the side of her head. And then alongside this, as I mentioned before, she debuts in the series under the guise of the Kanidoga Food Company's idol mascot and floor-ground saleswoman, though most importantly, when Monika gets upset, she will make a face that imitates the look of a Heikigami crab or samurai crab's shell, with the crabs being said to be the resurrected samurai warriors of the Heike clan, thus giving their shells a strange face-like shape to resemble the samurai warrior. And this legend alongside the shape of the shell led some biologists to believe the influx of these weird shell shapes were the result of an unintentional artificial selection, as those with shells more closely resembling human faces would be tossed back out of respect for the warriors and would have a greater chance to reproduce versus those who didn't. Though this theory was later disproven, as people learned that Hakai crabs just weren't all that tasty and that much of a delicacy, and the ridges on the crab's shells were later chalked up to be a muscular structure shape. Though this idea that some crabs are ignored due to their outer shell appearance plays very well with Monika's own approach to undercover police work, as she puts on an energetic front and a comedic nature most of the time, which leads people to not taking her very seriously, even when she's on the clock, which ends up biting them in the end, because along with this, the samurai portion of the Hakai crab name plays very well with the slicing capabilities of her own quirk, this being the honestly overpowered Scissors, which was originally mistranslated as snip and clip. Now, Scissors is a close-range emitter quirk that allows Monika to cut through most anything placed between a scissor-like gap that she can make naturally with her body, be it between one of her 2 fingers, or between her legs if the thing she needs to cut is too big. The cutting potential of this quirk has never been shown to have any limits, though it is said that it can cut through most anything, so there is possibly a limit in which it can cut. But we know that it can easily cut clean through solid steel restraints without much of an issue. And even though that she isn't a pro hero, she has honed her quirk for emergency use cases, even going so far to create a super super move for herself that she calls Rocket Crab Clip, which involves Monika being hurled at her target, opening up her legs for a larger cutting area, and then slicing through her target. Though, given her role as a police officer, she isn't really supposed to be using her quirk unless she is permitted to. Though, given her close working relation with Fat Gum and the police force in general, I assume she is usually working with that permit. Though, speaking of her and Fat Gum, Monika always seems to refer to Fat Gum as Fat Yun, with Yun being basically an accented honorific based off things like Chan, which is an accent that commonly originates from the Osaka region, which implies that Monika speaks with an Osaka or Kensai accent, which makes a lot of sense when you read her bio and find out that Monika was specifically made to be an Osaka native to help progress the story, with series artist Furuhashi saying that she was originally going to be two separate characters, one idol who would interact with Pastel, and the other would be a law enforcement worker who teamed up with Fat Gum, but at the end of the day the two became one and they got an undercover cop out of it. Though, outside of police work, she does have other interests, such as comedy, with her making frequent jokes and performing comedy routines on and off the clock either by herself or with her friend Fat Gum. Though if there was one specific comedy style that she specialized in, it would be the manzai comedy style or the two-man comedy style, which is comedy that focuses on a rapid back and forth of jokes between a straight man and a funny man, usually coming in the form of things like doublespeak, puns, mutual misunderstandings, and verbal gags. A good example of this comedy in motion is her constant repeating of snip and clip while making the hand motions of a crab, or when she just straight up told one of those jokes calling Fat Gum a big strong pork bun. And then of course you have the fact that she works for a company that straight up translates to crab buffoonery, which is a direct parody on a real life restaurant in Osaka called Kani Doraku, which means crab amusement. Though as time goes on, this form of comedy has been labeled as brash and borderline vulgar in most places in Japan. Most people not understanding the jokes when they're told, or not really finding them funny. Though that doesn't mean that everyone dislikes them. In fact, manzai comedy is often associated with Osaka, especially when performed in a Kensai or Osakan accent, which reinforces Monika's connection to Osaka, which is emphasized by her brash exterior, with series artist Betten even saying that her design is very reminiscent of a crab, with a weird rough exterior but a savory and enjoyable interior, which is a perfect summary of her character actually, as even though on the outside she seems extremely unprofessional and unserious as a worker, deep down she's a very hardworking individual, usually playing the fool for her own amusement while taking her job pretty seriously, as not only did she figure out how the villain factory was using the Kanidoga food chain to supply shipments of quirk boosters by disguising them in ice packs and shipping them along with the supplies, but she also memorized the faces of all the delivery people who brought those supplies so she could identify anyone pretending to be one. Along with this, Monika can use her natural talking ability to weasel her way into most companies, like the Anamaru Pharmaceutical Company, to gain access to their facilities and engage in police raids when suspicious activity is detected or uncovered. She is a master at what she does, with Fat Gum himself even having to say that, with all the things that she does that detract from her work, she is one of the best undercover cops around. And at the end of the day, Monika is just one of the best non-pro heroes in the series, leading to the shutdown for the most part of both the quirk booster operation and the villain factory operation, all the while working mostly within the confines of the law. And I hope that before the end of Vigilantes, we get to see her crabby comedian one more time. And maybe like other events in Vigilantes that have paid off in the main series, we might get to see Horikoshi bring her into the spotlight, just a tad bit. I mean, he's drawn her once before, and he seems to really enjoy Fat Gum, and these two seem to have a close working relationship, but then again, that's just a bit of Hope Kaido thinking. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like it in the future, I have a Patreon at patreon.com/MattyNotTheBadGuy. And if you want to become a king of comedy yourself, well, you can get a first-hand training from a copy of Shimonetta, A Boring World Where the Concept of Dirty Jokes Doesn't Exist at buyshimonetta.com.